Wild boars are back, rampaging through fields, destroying crops, tearing apart livestock pens, and even endangering people. We couldn't just sit still. In just a few weeks, farms across the region had already lost dozens of hectares of crops, and many animals were slaughtered. So once again, we prepped our gear, gathered the hounds, and headed out. This wasn't just a hunt, it was a mission to defend the farmland. Are you ready? Let's dive into a no-holds-barred pursuit, where speed, precision, and courage are the only things standing between safety and chaos. We traveled nearly an hour to a vast plain in the U.S., an area recently hit hard by wild boar invasions. The open space offered little cover and even less room for error. We advanced with caution, ready for anything hiding in the distance. The hunt was officially on. As we stepped through a patch of tall grass, we spotted a boar herd grazing unaware in the middle of the field. No time to waste. I quickly moved into position, raised my rifle, locked onto one straying from group. One clean pull of the trigger. Bang! The shot landed. The boar dropped instantly, and the rest scattered in panic. We kept tracking the herd across the plains. Suddenly, a nearby bush shook violently, then a massive black figure burst through the leaves at full speed. No hesitation, I raised my rifle and fired. A perfect shot. The beast collapsed, rolled across the dirt, then lay completely still. About 10 minutes later, one of our teammates approached a thick bush. A shadow darted out, sprinting to escape. Nick reacted fast, aim fired. The bullet hit clean. The boar stumbled and fell hard into a tangled patch of grass. It squirmed for a moment, then went completely limp. No fight left. Leaving the plains behind, we headed up into the harsh, rugged hills. The wind howled through the cliffs, and the rocky ground was etched with fresh boar tracks. Our dogs barked wildly, the scent was strong. We were now in truly unpredictable terrain. We crept along the slope, eyes scanning the distance. Across the ridge, a group of boars was slowly climbing, heads down, treading across the stones. I wasted no time, sighted the biggest one, and fired. The echo of the shot rang through the hills. The target dropped and rolled. The rest bolted in panic, scattering across the slope. Not far away, my teammate was already in position. From behind a large rock, he locked on to a lone boar sprinting downhill. One shot, direct hit. The boar collapsed in a dry bed of grass, motionless. As we continued along the ridge, a massive boar emerged ahead, slowly pushing through the bushes. I took my chance, aim fired. Bang! It staggered, then collapsed. Our dogs rushed in and secured the target in seconds. This hunt was full of intense, unexpected moments, but also marked by precision and success. Every shot was calculated to reduce the wild boar threat and restore peace to farms and livestock. All activities were conducted strictly within legal zones and in full compliance with wildlife protection laws.
Recently, a ferocious herd of wild boars has appeared right in residential areas, causing chaos and endangering the safety of the people. They are aggressive and destructive, rampaging through properties and even attacking humans. This situation cannot continue, so a team of professional hunters has taken action. Can we stop these wild beasts in time? Watch now to witness this intense confrontation. Wild boars are formidable creatures with high adaptability and a strong survival instinct. When their numbers grow uncontrollably, they spill onto streets, penetrate deep into residential areas, and create numerous threats. Not only do they destroy crops and ravage farmland, causing heavy losses to farmers, but they also attack livestock and even threaten human lives. The situation not only disrupts daily life, but also poses a major challenge in controlling and managing these wild animals. In the dead of night, we set out, weapons in hand, determined to eliminate this threat. In a nearby field, the wild boar herd roamed freely, digging up the soil in search of food, completely unaware of the danger lurking in the shadows. Waiting for the perfect moment, locked onto our targets, and pulled the trigger. Panic erupted among the herd as they scattered in all directions. One by one, they fell under a relentless barrage of gunfire. This high-stakes pursuit demanded precision and skill, showcasing our expertise in hunting. This was not just a battle for survival, but a mission to restore peace and safety for the community. Night hunting for wild boars is an extreme challenge. The lack of light limits visibility, but we have the advantage of infrared scopes and thermal imaging. Most importantly, precision shooting is crucial. A well-placed shot can take down the target instantly, but a single mistake could turn us from hunters into the hunted in the dangerous darkness. Wild boars possess an incredibly sharp sense of smell. Just a faint scent of us carried by the wind could send the entire herd into a frenzy. That's why we must maintain absolute silence and position ourselves downwind to avoid detection. Nighttime is when wild boars are most active, roaming in herds to devastate farmlands. Although their night vision is not the best, they navigate skillfully using their acute sense of smell and exceptional hearing. Even the slightest sound or an unfamiliar scent can put them on high alert. Moving in groups also helps them stay oriented and protect one another. But tonight, luck is not on their side. We locked our sights onto our targets and pulled the trigger, taking down these destructive creatures without hesitation. As dawn broke, we left the residential area and ventured deep into the vast hills. This was the true stronghold of the wild boars, where they thrive and multiply rapidly. We scanned the landscape. And then, there it was, a massive, muscular wild boar leisurely making its way down the hill. The tension in the air was palpable. I squeezed the trigger without hesitation. Gunfire echoed through the hills, breaking the silence. Our persistence and determination finally paid off, bringing us a well-earned victory. Wild boars may outrun hunting dogs, but against seasoned hunters like us, they stand no chance. They sprinted at full speed, desperately trying to escape. But unfortunately for them, we had anticipated their every move. The hunt has come to an end, and the invading wild boar herd has finally been contained. However, the threat of wild boars is far from over. More hunts will inevitably follow. Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more thrilling hunts ahead.
sound of gunfire and barking dogs echoed through the forest, signaling that the hunt was in full swing. Our hunt took place in a forest in southwestern Germany with dense vegetation that is ideal for wild boar to live. The hunting trips are not for recreational purposes. We just want to destroy and control the wild boar population because they are developing into a scary invasive species. In Germany, being a hunter is not just about taking a gun into the woods and shooting. We have to undergo at least a year of training, learning about the law, ecology, animal ethics, and even animal anatomy. Only after passing the exam and getting a hunting license can I officially enter the world of German hunters. Every time we go into the forest, we have to be alert. One wrong step, one strange noise, and the pigs can run away, or worse, they can counterattack. Early in the morning, we were in the forest, lying in ambush at the high huts that had been built for better observation. It didn't take long before we heard the sound of hurried footsteps, and then the shaggy black figures appeared. My comrades and I quickly loaded our guns. A series of gunshots tore through the quiet atmosphere. Some of the big pigs fell, others ran away in all directions. After the shot, my heart was still pounding. Even though the morning was still chilly, I felt my body heating up. Perhaps it was due to the excitement mixed with nervousness. European wild boars are not like in picture books or fairy tales. They are not slow or stupid. On the contrary, they are intelligent, highly organized, and extremely dangerous when cornered. That is why we always keep a safe distance to hunt them. Through the tree trunks and dry leaves, I saw a wild boar appear. It was looking around warily. I slowly raised the gun, keeping my breathing steady. Even the slightest noise would ruin the whole ambush. I held my breath and pulled the trigger. The wild boar couldn't escape. Another wild boar appeared, but it seemed to have sensed the danger and ran away, not giving it a chance to escape. I killed it with a fatal shot to its chest. There are many wild boars living in this forest. They have strong reproductive ability and high survival rate. Therefore, each hunting trip, we can kill dozens to hundreds of wild boars. Well, another wild boar appeared on the mountainside. I raised my gun. The moment I pulled the trigger, all sound seemed to stop. The boar was hit, staggered, and collapsed. Because it was a steep slope, it rolled several times and fell down the mountainside. That it seems that on this hunting trip, we entered the lair of wild boars. They kept appearing and were also continuously destroyed. Every time I kill a wild boar, I don't feel happy. But for the sake of protecting the environment and ecosystem, we need to do it for a long time. As the afternoon wore on, we gathered in a grassy area and counted the boars. The boars lay there, huge, fierce, and powerful. We don't waste wild boar meat. After processing, the wild boar meat is marinated and dried in the traditional way. The taste is rich, wild, and full of the flavor of the forest. But for me, the greatest reward is the lesson of survival and teamwork. Our journey is over. Leave a comment below to let us know. Don't forget to like and subscribe to receive the latest notifications. I've hunted in many places from the misty forests of Normandy to the vast cornfields of Iowa, but nowhere has stirred my emotions quite like the southwest of France, especially among the long-abandoned vineyards. This region has become a haven for wild boars, drawn by the abundant food supply. Of course, hunting wild boars here isn't about sport, it's about survival. Local farmers have lived in fear for years, as these animals have destroyed large portions of their farms. As the sun rose over the vast open fields, we spread out in different directions to track and hunt wild boars. Thanks to the flat terrain, we use motorbikes to move swiftly during the hunt. Suddenly, a massive wild boar appeared. Without time to think, we raised our rifles and fired. The boar dropped instantly after a single shot. My heart was pounding not out of fear, but from adrenaline and the thrill of victory. But we didn't stop there. We jumped into the buggy and raced across the green fields. The roar of the engine mixed with the grunts of fleeing boars. We quickly reloaded and fired again. Even though wild boars are incredibly fast, they were no match for the speed of the buggy or the precision of our bullets. Another wild boar appeared, and once again, we took careful aim and brought it down with precision. These boars were likely the very ones that had ravaged our farms. If they aren't dealt with, farmers won't be able to plant a single seed in these fields because the boars will destroy everything, even the seedlings, before they have a chance to grow. After our lunch break, we continued the hunt in the southern forest edge that afternoon, a place where green grasslands intertwine with dense shrubs. While lying in ambush, we heard rustling in the bushes. Then a wild boar emerged. We quickly raised our rifles and took it down with a precise shot. It dropped instantly from a clean, fatal hit. Every time a boar appeared, I fired without hesitation because the local farmers are counting on us. They've placed all their hopes in our hands, trusting that we'll help them eliminate these destructive creatures. Our journey continued throughout the afternoon. We knew that most of the wild boars were hiding in this area, only venturing out when searching for food, often near the surrounding farm. Within just a few hours, several wild boars appeared within my sights. We ventured deep into the mountains to hunt wild boars, a mix of excitement and tension filling the air as we entered their stronghold, eager to take down even more. We carefully examined the tracks they left on the ground, hoping to determine their direction of movement. Wasting no time, my team and I opened fire. We gathered our hard-earned trophies with satisfaction. By late afternoon, we had planned to wrap up the hunt. But then a report came through the radio. A massive herd of wild boars was tearing up a harvested cornfield. We rushed to the location and saw the boars charging out from the bushes. One by one, we took them down, determined not to let a single one escape. Hunting wild boars demands patience and persistence you can't give up. And this is our result. One massive wild boar. All the wild boars we hunted were gathered in one spot and loaded onto the truck. Once everything was secured, we drove back to the gathering camp where everyone shared food, drinks, and plenty of laughter. I could genuinely feel the warmth and friendliness of the group. This hunting trip in the southwest of France taught me far more than I expected, not just about shooting techniques, but about patience, observation, the rhythm of the wild, and the culture of the region. Wild boars, creatures once thought to lurk only in deep forests, have become a true nightmare for rural communities. They rampage through fields, destroying crops, attacking livestock, and even targeting humans. Faced with this growing threat, farmers and hunters are forced to take action to protect their livelihoods. How have they confronted these ferocious beasts? Join us on a thrilling and suspenseful journey to hunt wild boars in today's video. Join us at the snowy hills of Montana, USA, in the depths of winter, where wild boars relentlessly churn the frozen ground, wreaking havoc on ecosystems and crops. We've come fully equipped with firearms, cold weather gear, thermal binoculars, and all necessary tools. The hunt in the frigid wilderness officially begins. Tracking footprints etched in the thick snow for an hour, we suddenly heard a strange noise ahead. All of a sudden, a dark shadow shot out from the bushes like an arrow slicing through the air. Immediately, I raised my rifle, locked onto the target, and pulled the trigger. The gunshot rang out clean and decisive. The beast collapsed, tumbling a few times on the snowy ground before lying still. It seems my gunshot startled the other prey nearby. From a distance, another wild boar emerged. Swiftly pulling the trigger, the bullet struck its head, leaving the beast no chance to escape. The winter battlefield ended with victory for the steely hunters. Now, join me for another hunting adventure in the scorching summer of the American South, where the blistering heat drives wild boars to gather around fields and water sources. Firearms, binoculars, and tracking gear are ready. A new battleground, a new hunt begins now. Trekking along the hillside at dawn, we swiftly set out to hunt the ferocious beasts in the area. Suddenly, a rustling sound nearby signaled something approaching. A dark shadow burst from the thicket. I immediately drew my rifle, aiming straight at the target. The gunshot rang out decisively. The beast collapsed instantly, completely subdued by the hunter's barrel. The hunting dogs were unleashed, swiftly picking up the scent and driving the prey toward us. Moments later, from the edge of the hill, a massive beast suddenly charged forward. Unfazed, I raised my rifle, locking onto the target. The gunshot echoed through the still air, and in an instant the beast collapsed onto the parched ground, unable to resist. A few minutes later, another wild boar was struggling to climb up the rocky cliff. I raised my rifle, squinted to align the shot, and pulled the trigger without hesitation. The bullet whistled through the air, striking the target dead on. The beast lurched violently, then staggered, sliding down the hillside. Not far away, a teammate of mine was swiftly shouldering his rifle, eyes locked on a target sprinting wildly across the hills. The prey tried to accelerate, but mere seconds later, a sharp crack echoed. All movement ceased. IT collapsed without time to react. Today's journey concludes with breathless pursuits through untamed wilderness, where neither the harsh winter nor the blazing summer could halt the hunter's steps. All actions were carried out in strict accordance with legal regulations in designated hunting areas in the USA. From the depths of the forest to the doorstep of homes, giant wild boars are becoming increasingly aggressive and audacious. They swarm into residential areas, ravaging crops, attacking livestock, and even threatening human lives. Facing this lurking danger, seasoned hunters are always ready to venture into perilous territory to restore peace to the countryside. But this is no easy hunt. Wild boars are not only powerful, but also cunning beyond expectation. This time, who will fall? Follow the heart-pounding pursuit in our video today, where every step could be a fight for survival. First, join us in the snow-covered hills of the American West, a place of harsh weather, treacherous terrain, and massive, ferocious wild boars lurking beneath thick layers of snow. Today's hunt has been meticulously prepared. Rifles, thermal binoculars, flashlights, cold-resistant clothing, and enough supplies for hours of enduring the bone-chilling cold. After about 20 minutes of trekking across the mountainside, we suddenly encountered a herd of wild boars darting through the barren trees. I swiftly raised my rifle, locking my sights on one of the boars. The shot hit its mark, and the target collapsed to the ground. Seizing the moment, I quickly fired again. The second bullet flew true, striking another boar in the side. dropping it instantly lifeless and unable to fight back. At the same moment on the adjacent hillside, my teammate was tracking a boar struggling through the thick snow. A sharp crack echoed as the shot hit its mark, sending the boar tumbling down the slope. The air fell eerily silent. Victory on the snowy hills belonged to the skilled hunter. Leaving the snow-covered mountains behind, join us on a journey to the southern United States, the dense oak forests of Texas, where wild boars gather in herds notorious for their ferocity and unpredictability. Before entering the forest, we double-check our gear. Hunting rifles, binoculars, daggers, walkie-talkies, and backup camping equipment. Everything is ready. A new terrain, a new challenge, and the hunt begins anew. Venturing into the dry Texas forest, we suddenly spotted a wild boar charging through a cluster of decayed trees. I raised my rifle and fired, but the first shot only grazed it. Not letting the chance slip, I swiftly repositioned, cutting off the boar's path. The second shot rang out, striking true into its flank. The beast collapsed, completely subdued. Continuing to track other prey, I quickly noticed a lone boar ahead. I raised my rifle, squeezed the trigger, and the bullet flew, hitting the target dead on. The boar crashed to the ground, utterly drained of strength to resist. From a clearing in the distance, I spotted another wild boar foraging for food. I instantly raised my rifle, and the bullet shot out with blazing speed, embedding itself into the beast's body. It leaped off the ground, tumbled a few times, then collapsed amid the dry leaves, silence before it could make a sound. Another target taken down. Not stopping there, after moving for about 10 minutes, amid the golden grass, a dark shadow silently emerged from the edge of the forest, seemingly scouting for food. I quietly raised my rifle, adjusted my aim, and fired. The sharp crack of the shot echoed as the bullet tore through the air, striking the beast's head. It froze, then collapsed onto the bed of decayed leaves. The hunt concluded, and once again, victory did not belong to the wild. The pursuit of these formidable creatures ended with precise, thrilling shots. Seasoned hunters showcased their prowess against the stubborn evasion of the boar herd. The entire expedition strictly adhered to legal hunting regulations in permitted areas.
Kayo.
wild boars, creatures once thought to lurk only in deep forests, have now invaded the plains, causing unimaginable damage. They not only destroy crops, but also leave villagers living in fear as night falls. Faced with this crisis, what will farmers and hunters do to reclaim peace? Join us in a heart-pounding pursuit where the line between man and beast is drawn by a single gunshot. First, join us as we step into the chilly night of rural America, where giant wild boars exploit the cover of darkness to ravage fields and livestock pens. Guns, thermal binoculars, infrared lights. Everything has been meticulously prepared for a heart-pounding hunt under the moonlight. We drove for about an hour to reach the hunting area. The silence was eerie and unsettling. From a distance, a herd of beasts was quietly tearing through a cornfield. I quickly raised my rifle, locked onto the target, and pulled the trigger. The gunshot shattered the night's silence. One boar was hit and collapsed to the ground. The rest scattered in panic, fleeing in all directions. Not missing the opportunity, we decided to track down the surviving boars. A target was spotted. Swiftly raising my rifle, I pulled the trigger. The sharp crack of the bullet echoed through the silent night. One beast collapsed, motionless on the cold grass. The night hunt concluded with victory for the season hunters. After a tense night, the first light of dawn dispelled the darkness. Seizing the moment, we swiftly moved up the mountain for a daytime hunt, where the prey roams actively under the radiant sunlight. Join us as we continue this thrilling pursuit of the beasts. Silently weaving through dense bushes, a dark shadow suddenly darted out in front of me. Reacting in a split second, I raised my rifle and fired. The blast echoed through the mountains and forest. The beast struck squarely in its midsection. It collapsed onto the dry ground, thrashing briefly before gradually losing its ability to resist. The gunshot shattered the silence, sending the surrounding wild boars into chaos. The frantic barking of hunting dogs signaled the presence of other prey. As expected, a group of wild boars was hiding, hoping to evade my rifle. Without hesitation, I swiftly raised my gun and locked on the target. A clean shot rang out, and the lead boar was hit, collapsing in the middle of the forest without making a sound. As we descended the mountain, we encountered stray boars from the herd busily foraging. Aiming from a distance, I fired a single shot at the target. It collapsed and lay still instantly. The remaining boar fled in panic, leaving behind an eerily silent scene. The daytime hunt concluded with the giant beast herd as the Today's journey of night and day hunting has come to a close. From the silent darkness to the radiant daylight, each moment brought its own challenges. But with seamless coordination and precise shots, we emerged victorious. Everything was conducted in legal areas and in compliance with regulations. They're not the silent lurkers in the shadows. Wild boars, ferocious beasts, are storming closer to human habitats, tearing through fields, destroying property, and threatening the safety of livestock and people alike. Against this backdrop, hunting trips are no longer just thrills or daring adventures. They're a vital stand to restore balance between humanity and nature. So, how will this relentless chase between man and these savage creatures end? Join us to witness the heart-pounding, high-stakes journey in today's gripping video. This trip plunged us into the rugged hills of America, a hotspot where wild boars roam rampant, wreaking havoc on local farmers' livelihoods. Armed to the teeth with rifles, camouflage gear, and GPS trackers, our crew dove deep into the forest, kicking off a thrilling hunt amidst untamed wilderness. Tiptoeing across the barren hillside, a sudden rustle from the brush ahead snapped me to attention. My gut screamed that the prey was lurking there. I steadied myself, raised my rifle, and tracked every flicker of movement. Seconds later, a dark mass exploded from the thicket like a bolt of lightning. Instinct kicked in, I squeezed the trigger. The gunshot shattered the eerie silence. The bullet flew true, striking its mark. The beast tumbled, rolling a few times before lying still on the cold ground. Venturing deeper into the desolate heart of the barren hill, I suddenly spotted another beast slinking through the brittle underbrush. Not letting the chance slip away, I swiftly took position, steadied my rifle, and locked onto the target. A single, precise shot rang out, the bullet slicing through the air and striking the prey's head dead on. It collapsed instantly, no chance to resist, the hunt over in mere seconds. My gunshot seemed to jolt the entire hillside awake. Just minutes later, a full-grown wild boar burst through a narrow rocky crevice. Without hesitation, I raised my rifle, took careful aim, and pulled the trigger. The sharp crack of the shot tore through the stillness, hitting the beast square in the shoulder. It stumbled, lost its momentum, and crashed to the ground. The hunt on the hill ended with hard-earned trophies claimed from the wild. Stepping away from the rugged hills, join us as we shift to a thrilling night hunt across the vast plains of America. Fully equipped with weapons, binoculars, and GPS, we're primed for a new, heart-pounding challenge under the stars. Rolling through the night in our pickup truck, the engine's roar echoed through the eerie silence, sending a chill through every breath. Spotting a target ahead, we swiftly closed in. Leaping from the truck, I raised my rifle and locked onto the prey. A clean shot rang out. The target dropped in an instant, utterly still. My gunshot sent the surrounding prey into a frenzy. From the shadowy brush, a beast bolted past mere inches from me, spiking the tension to a fever pitch. Determined not to let it escape, I gave chase and fired. The crack of the shot reverberated through the dark, shattering the night silence. The wild boar struck hard, crashed to the ground, skidding across the dew-soaked grass before lying completely still. This hunting trip drew to a close after hours of intense stalking and pinpoint-accurate takedowns in the untamed wilds of America. Every action was carried out in strict compliance with local hunting regulations in permitted areas.